Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick with me? Famous scenes with drama queens and heroes acting out there on a silver screen. Come grab a seat, the popcorn is on me.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
So if the devil hangs out with sheep while fighting mortals and also chasing mice who think they used to watch the Truman Show, that is what today's episode is all about on Meet Me at the Movies. Noel T. Manning II here with Thomas Manning. Hey, buddy. Good to see you, bud.
It's good to be here. Always a pleasure to talk about, Mortal Kombat and the ring of Prada wearing sheep in devil's clothing, with some field mice running around as well. So yeah, that pretty much is a perfect summary for just the energy that we capture every week here on Meet Me in the Movies.
So that is a preview trailer of what you can expect on this episode. Now, Thomas, we do have some guests we hope are going to show up. Well, we'll see at the bottom half of the show. Douglas Davidson, we're hoping, will be here along with his old buddy, Darryl Mansel, the Cinnamon. We're hoping they're going to be back and talking about a couple of films for us after the break. But before that, I want to talk about the double feature you got a chance to check out, Devil Wears Prada and its sequel. You'd never seen that before, and you got a chance to do that with your sister, who was visiting during Mother's Day weekend not too long ago. And we're also going to talk about a new Hugh Jackman film that's got a lot of sheep in it. So I'm excited. Tell me what you got going on, man.
Yes, so I had never seen the original Devil Wears Prada, which came out in 2006, which is 20 years ago now, but it was one of my sister's very favorites growing up. It was, a core text for her, but just at that time that it came out, I think I was too busy learning how to read to really get into The Devil Wears Prada.
Still learning that.
I actually never really did learn, but I know how to watch movies, so that was my I found my home there. But okay, so going back to the original, it was based on a novel by Laura Weisberger, and it was based on her experiences as an assistant to Anna Wintour when she was at Vogue. And I think you've bumped into Anna Wintour a few times in the past, or maybe just one time in the past. But, so the Meryl Streep character in this is kind of, loosely inspired by Anna Wintour. And we're not going to say anything negative about Anna. And I think she's kind of gone on the record saying, hey, it was an honor to have Meryl Streep portray a version of me. But let me just say, Meryl, in this portrayal of this, somewhat sensationalized character, truly terrified me. I fully believe that she could take on Thanos or Doctor Doom or Darth Vader or the Emperor just single-handedly, just with the stern talking to. I'm pretty sure she could take them down. And you know what? It's possible that Anna Wintour herself could do the same. So, but in conversation with that, this is also just a very lovely story about a young woman played by Anne Hathaway who is chasing her dreams in her 20s in the big city and coming into her own. And, as someone now in my mid-20s, I think I can connect and relate to it more in a certain sense than if I just watched it when I was learning how to read at 6 years old. So now, coming around to it, I think this was the perfect time for me to discover this film. And a few notes just on the first one. It was really funny watching this and seeing just how much Christopher Nolan has borrowed from some things in this film, specifically when it comes to his movie The Dark Knight Rises. Of course, you got Anne Hathaway. There's another character actor named Daniel Sunada in this. And then there's also a sequence toward the end of this film where there is a nod of acknowledgement across a busy square at the end of the movie, which, if you've seen The Dark Knight Rises, you know that nod of acknowledgement between Alfred and Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne. all of that is there in The Devil Wears Prada. And also, to add further credence to that theory, Christopher Nolan himself, he was on Stephen Colbert a couple weeks ago talking about The Odyssey coming up, which The Odyssey also features Anne Hathaway. So, as she comes up in conversation, Colbert asks him, "Hey, Chris, have you seen The Devil Wears Prada 2 yet?" I think he kind of jokingly threw that out there, and Christopher Nolan was like, "Why, yes, I saw it last night. It was absolutely fabulous." So,
Awesome.
I think it's possible that Devil Wears Prada is one of Christopher Nolan's very favorite movies, and now like I'm glad that I got a chance to see that for myself. Why that's probably one of his very favorite movies.
Awesome.
So yeah.
So let's transition, because I know we want to make sure we fit in a lot. We're trying to do a lot in this half of the show. The sequel coming out 20 years later. People wonder, will it work? The legacy sequels sometimes do, sometimes don't, and we've seen in past years where that's right on both sides.
Right. And this was, I think, what makes this legacy sequel successful in my eyes was making it a full-blown journalism-style movie, and it speaks, it kind of shifts its focus to speak very specifically about the tumultuous journalism landscape that we're continuing to live in, especially as it relates to the digital age and the encroachment of AI into the media and the journalism landscape. This film has a lot to say on those fronts. Whereas the first one kind of had this more, coming of age type feel, or at least, coming of age in your 20s, coming into adulthood. This is more about, someone who is, a well-adjusted adult learning how the world is kind of parts of the world that she's grown so accustomed to are crashing in around her. And so I really appreciated taking that view here. Another thing that I really loved, whereas the first film was mostly contained to New York City, there's some major globetrotting in this one. We go not just the Harlem Globetrotters, but we go to Italy. There's some just gorgeous landscape shots on the coast of Italy. We go to the Great American Northeast in Vermont. Some beautiful fall foliage landscape shots as well. And, then on top of that, with the central returning cast, Anne Hathaway, Meryl Streep, Emily Blunt, Stanley Tucci, and it's crazy looking at all four of these individuals. I don't think they've aged a single day in 20 years since the original came out, and it looked like this, fitting back into this shoe for these characters was just like, putting on a shoe putting on a shoe that hasn't changed in 20 years.
Wow.
So a couple other supporting cast members I'll highlight. Lucy Liu, she's a scene stealer, and then Justin Theroux playing this goofy tech geek who's kind of an amalgamation of a lot of the prominent tech geeks that you might recognize from the headlines. He is quite hilarious in this film.
Awesome.
But I looked over to my sister toward the end of this movie and was like, I think I might like this even better than the first. So I don't think there are going to be other people that agree with me, and I think that's because I don't have the emotional connection to the original. But I was quite riveted by a lot that this film had to say.
So it's one that you do need to watch the first film first to really truly appreciate it. And as a legacy sequel goes, you feel it rises to the occasion. So rating for both of these films, you want to do them separately?
Oh yeah, I'll give both of them a solid B+.
Okay, cool. Solid B+ for Devil Wears Prada and its legacy sequel in theaters now. Well, Thomas, you've got 5 minutes if you want to make sure you get a chance to cover this Hugh Jackman film. That's a little different than typical Hugh Jackman films that we get a chance to engage.
That's right. He has no adamantium skeleton. He's not singing opera. He doesn't run a circus. But what he does run is a flock of sheep. He's a shepherd here. They're talking about the Sheep Detectives, directed by Kyle Balda. And last week we talked about Blue Heron and An Autumn Summer, both of which examine the way that we experience memories as human beings. Well, this week we have another memory-centric movie, but it's not about humans. It's about sheep and how sheep remember things. And, I think that when you look at why we keep seeing stories and prominent stories about this theme, I think it's a combination of a few things. First, social media and the internet continue to kind of damage the way that we process things and mentally. And combined with that, we're still learning how COVID-19 has affected our brains as well. So I think we're going to continue to see stories about how we as a culture want to remember things and, don't want to forget the way that we've experienced things. And in this movie, you can kind of slot that in there as, a very much tonally different film than a Blue Heron or Autumn Summer. But I do think that also just goes to show that there is room for this theme to be explored across all genres and for all, audience targets. The movie, I was just kind of just as surprised as anyone, or I don't know if everybody else would have been surprised, but I was quite surprised that this movie about Hugh Jackman as a shepherd who was murdered, who then his murder was solved by talking sheep. It was so truly moving and oftentimes profound and can speak to all ages. So,
Wow.
Yeah, and and I'll mention that based on a 2005 novel called Three Bags Full by Leonie Swan. And I think when you say that was 20 years ago, I think it was a little ahead of the curve in terms of what it was speaking to with our culture. So I would quite really really truly appreciated Sheep Detectives, and slot it right there within my favorite whodunits of the past decade. Put it in there with the Knives Outs. It's a fun one.
Well, I know when I saw the trailer for the first time, I said, "This is Knives Out with sheep," and you're saying that that's pretty much kind of where we are with this. I think you said a solid cast as well, voice cast as well as some other faces that show up too. Correct?
Absolutely, yeah. The cast, a combination of voice roles in live action: Emma Thompson, Brett Goldstein from Ted Lasso, Bella Ramsey, Hong Chow, Regina Hall, Sir Patrick Stewart, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and then also Bryan Cranston. He gives a voice performance here, which I think is just as good as any live action acting he's ever done. So
awesome.
He is quite fantastic. And then real quick, Nicholas Braun. I think he's the kind of actor who was made to interact with puppets or CGI characters. He played Jim Henson in the Saturday Night movie a couple years ago, and I think we just need to put him in like a full Muppets movie or something, and he would that would just be his wheelhouse. So
Awesome. So Thomas, your rating for The Sheep Detective, also in theaters now.
That's right, Sheep Detective. I'm going to give it a solid A-.
Wow, solid A- in theaters now. You can check that out, and appreciate you guys spending time with us. After the break, Thomas, we're going to let you go spend some time watching some more movies, and we're going to come back and we'll have Darryl Mansel. At least we hope we will, and Douglas Davidson. We're hoping both of those will show up. I've got to get them on the satellite link during this intermission, so let's see if we can make that happen. Stick around. We'll have more of something right after this.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick?
Want to stay connected to everything happening at Cleveland Community College? C19's monthly show, In the Loop, brings you the stories, updates, and the highlights that matter most right from campus. From program spotlights and upcoming events to alumni interviews and college updates, In the Loop keeps you informed and engaged. Catch home game schedules for all CCC athletics, plus fun and meaningful conversations with the Yeti along the way. Whether you're a student, employee, alumni, or supporter of CCC, this is your inside look at life on campus. Tune in monthly on C19 and stay in the loop with Cleveland Community College.
Hi, I'm Tim Foster, your host for Blue and Bold Monthly right here on C19 TV. Get to know the coaches and student athletes of Cleveland Community College Athletics on Blue and Bold. We go in depth. as we discuss cross country, track and field, volleyball, baseball, men and women's basketball, and softball. Catch Bull and Bold airing on C19 TV and online at c19.tv.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a
Well, welcome back to Meet Me at the Movies. I am Noel T. Main II, and as promised, Darryl Mansel is here. He is in the house, and we're gonna be having some fights today. I'm very excited. There's some energy going on. One part of the Cinnamon here now. Coming up shortly after this, we're going to have Douglas Davidson joining us as well. So, and I will say this, I did not read Douglas's full review because I didn't want to be tainted, but I did read enough about what he said about this Mortal Kombat film that we're going to talk about. It made him angry. And so I said, I got to leave it there. I got to talk to Darryl. I got to get Darryl's thoughts on this, and then we'll see what goes on. So tell me about this. It's a sequel to Mortal Kombat, correct?
That's right. It is a sequel to 2021's Mortal Kombat. I believe it was one of those debut straight to HBO Max is one of those releases that happened that year. That movie, good, not great. Went into Mortal Kombat 2 hoping for some improvements, something a little bit better than the first movie. We didn't get that, unfortunately. It leaves me confused as to why these filmmakers seem to have a hard time cracking the code to a Mortal Kombat movie when it from my simplistic view, it seemed like a fairly straightforward story. But this one, it didn't have the life to it. The action scenes didn't quite do it for me. For a movie that is about a tournament to save Earth, there's not a whole lot of tournament going on in this movie. They kind of flash to it every once in a while, but there's way too much stuff going on in the background. And for my tastes, and it might just be a personal thing, not enough tournament. I don't think some of the casting works. The decision to frame this around Carl Urban's Johnny Cage, I didn't think it was a great cast when it was announced. I'm always one to keep an open mind, see how things go. I never want to discount just off of casting. We all collectively have seen how that can backfire. But then walking out of the movie, I know that was not the role for him. I'm not sure. There's just a lot of question marks in this movie for me.
So, were you angry like Douglas was, or were you just kind of mystified?
Yeah, mystified. It was a lot of just being confused at the decisions being made in this movie. Damn. I was, but back in, I'm an 80s baby, so when the 90s came along, I was the target demographic for Mortal Kombat. So it was either like half the friend group, you were a Mortal Kombat guy, you were the Street Fighter guy. I was a Mortal Kombat guy, so I'm willing to give a good bit of leniency to these movies. But just confused. The effects looked not as polished as they could be. Some of the makeup wasn't up to the standards of what I would want out of a big budget action movie. It just all around confusion on the decisions made behind the camera is what I come down to. Confusion bordering towards anger, but not quite full anger like Douglas.
So let me ask you, was this Earth even worth saving? Was it even worth having a tournament for?
No, sir, it was not. No, sir. I'm sure they if this does well enough, we could get a Mortal Kombat 3. They kind of set that up at the end of let's go get some more fighters and champions. So usually it's like the fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, right. Shame on me. But I'm gonna give them one more shot because I feel like they're there, but they're not quite there. Okay, there's a lot to be left on the bone with these movies, and I think maybe a third crack at it might get it there. For my personal opinion, the 95 version of Mortal Kombat still stands as the superior version that we've gotten thus far on screen.
Okay, well, that kind of goes to my next question. I was going to say, okay, if there's any tournament-related fighting film out there that you would recommend, it would be that one. Any others that like Bloodsport or anything like that you'd say, yeah, go back and check those out?
I mean, Mortal Kombat's the top of the list for me. Bloodsport at the best of the best was a great one as well. It's been a while since we kind of gotten any kind of like just a good cheesy action fighting type thing.
Yeah.
This is cheesy for different reasons.
Right.
But your Jean-Claude Van Damme's, like we need to get back to some of those.
Absolutely.
Some of those mid-budget action movies. But I would say Mortal Kombat, Bloodsport, best of the best would be my top three.
And the Mortal Kombat from 95, right?
95, yeah.
Right,
and
cool.
then Street Fighter's not in this conversation.
Gotcha. All right. Well, Darryl, what is your rating for this Mortal Kombat sequel?
I'm going to give this a C-.
Wow.
Yeah. Dejected leaving the theaters on this one.
All right. C- for Mortal Kombat. The sequel in theaters now. Wait or just don't watch it at all. Douglas will be joining us right after this quick little interlude. I'm going to have a little wardrobe change. We're going to come back. And Darryl, thanks for joining us, buddy. Really appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you having me on as always, Noel.
Hey, baby.
All right, as promised, here is that special edition segment with Douglas Davidson, the king of the world, or the king, or for today's segment, the king of international animation is what we're going to call Douglas today. Is that correct?
I'll take that because King of the World didn't work out so well for the last guy who said that as related to movies. Don't end up like that guy.
No, we don't. But let's talk about this animation, man, that's been making the festival runs. And tell me the name of it because I want to call it Decorado. But it's something else, right?
It's Decorado. It's the new.
I was close.
You were. Specifically with the way that the film goes, the intonation is important.
Okay.
It's the new Albert Vasquez film. This is the filmmaker that did Bird Boy, The Forgotten Children, as well as Unicorn Wars. And I want to be very clear here. Just because this is an animated film does not mean that it's a family film. His films previous to this were not at all family films. It's being distributed by G-Kids Films, and they do for all ages. So you've got Belle for the young adults. You've got First Slam Dunk and Blue Giant for younger audiences. Although Blue Giant is more of a jazz film, so I don't know how much younger audiences will enjoy that. This, however, is not like that. This falls more in line with Unicorn Wars and Bird Boy. Vasquez really does have a way of telling stories using animation that would be more difficult to do in live action. To be clear here, this was co-written by Vasquez and F. Xavier Manuel. This is, I believe, the first time he's had a co-writer on one of his projects. And like the other two I mentioned, this did start as a short film that was then expanded. It tells the story of Arnold. He's an unemployed mouse who has been looking for work. His wife, Maria, she's an animator. Jobs aren't coming in the way that they expect. And everywhere he goes, he is not able to find work. And the longer that this goes on, the more he starts to feel like the place that he lives, which is called Anywhere, might actually be nowhere at all. And the longer this goes on, and suddenly there's a conspiracy, but is it something he's imagining? Is it something that is for real? And if it is for real, what does it mean? And you've got characters that are mice, that are rats, that are carrier pigeons. All of them speak. Some of them you probably don't want to hear from. Mr. Mushroom, who is so sad, and you feel for his little mushroom children who are just want something to eat. The way that this film explores its ideas is very much more straightforward than the previous works. You will know, in the same vein of, say, The Truman Show, what is real and what might not be real, because the question is not what matters. Vasquez, from the very beginning, makes it very clear, gives you a definition for Decorado, tells you why the pronunciation is important, why the circumstance is important. It sets everything up for you to know the answer. So it's therefore about the journey, and it's about the ideas that the film explores as it relates to consumerism, as it relates to power structure, class issues, personal ethics, and a number of very complex things in sometimes a silly manner, but sometimes that silly manner is meant to get you to be able to more easily process some very disturbing concepts. So again, not for children, period.
But the film has been getting some love, festival circuits, and also been getting some awards along the way. I know Fantastic Fest had some love for it back in, I guess, September. When did you get a chance to check this out? What was it? Was there a
Only
festival?
recently.
Okay.
Unfortunately not. I was able to screen Unicorn Wars through Fantastic Fest a couple years ago when it premiered there. Unfortunately, they wanted to keep the experience to in theater at the festival, which is totally fine. Have no issue with that. Films, I think, can work at home and in theater, but I absolutely understand the importance of the theatrical experience. But this is the North American premiere on May 15th. And if you are, so many people say that they want to see something original in theaters. This is that. It's going to have some notes that feel familiar, but it's the approach, it's the intention. And let me just tell you, if the Andy Serkis Animal Farm, which I have not seen, did not work for you, go see Decorado.
Okay. All right. Very cool. From a genre standpoint, would you call this a dark dramedy, or where does it fit in? Sure, it's animated, but as far as the stylistically, how would you classify it?
I would classify it as a dark dramedy works, also fantasy. The animation is a mixture of watercolor and sort of hand-drawn. So you almost have this Rats of Nim type feeling, even when it gets to its most surreal, which is Vasquez is really good at blending these things so that the dread of certain characters really does wash over you, and you really get anxious for, well, in this case, Arnold. You really hope Arnold makes it out okay, and whatever okay ends up looking like. Because sometimes survival, like look at Brazil, survival doesn't necessarily mean a happy ending. So you want these characters to make it out okay. It's definitely dark dramedy, great way to put it. It's a fantasy. I give it a B plus. It's right on that B plus A minus cusp.
Yeah.
It didn't strike me as hard as Unicorn Wars, but then again, that might be because in this case, it's being way more direct about its subject matter.
Awesome. And the name of the film again, Douglas?
Decorado.
Decorado. And any final words, thoughts, or comments you want to make sure you share about this film before we send it back to the studio?
If you do go see this and it resonates with you and you haven't seen the other two works, I highly recommend checking.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Douglas. Always good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us and giving us a snapshot of Decorado.
Many films to view until we meet again. Next time we see you, we'll gladly fill you in. We'll tell about the happy and the sad ones. We'll talk about the good ones and the bad ones. Many films to view till we meet again.